Caravela Coffee Talks are back, a space created to speak with thought leaders, to exchange knowledge, and share perspectives.
In these talks, the relationship building team invites you to attend sessions with female leaders in the industry.
We will hear about their aha moments, life lessons, breakthroughs, and how we can make coffee better together.
Over the years, we have seen how the representation of women in the industry has gained traction and has flourished. Join us for some inspiration.
Hello, my name is Marisabel Vasquez, Marketing Manager at Caravela.
Hi, my name is Ana Sofia Narvaez, Relationship Builder at Caravela.
We want to welcome you to a new episode of Caravela Coffee Talks, Women Make Coffee Better.
In today's conversation, you will hear from our former relationship builder who was based in Colombia, Salomé Puentes, and Zarah Lawless, co-founder of Calendar Coffee, based in Ireland.
They speak about how they started Calendar Coffee in 2018 based on seasonal coffees and building a reputation for unparalleled quality, always being honest about their story and journey. Zarah shares with us some tips on starting a coffee business. But most important, she shares with us how to successfully keep a business by staying true to your values.
We hope that you enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, my name's Zarah and I'm co-founder of Calendar Coffee. We're based in the west of Ireland. We're just outside Galway City in a little town called Barna. And we've been roasting here since 2018. And yeah, we're just a roastery. So we wholesale mainly and selling to cafes and restaurants and hotels, both locally and kind of internationally. And yeah, I guess Calendar Coffee kind of was started by Dan and myself. Dan's my partner. And we really wanted to focus on kind of seasonal coffee and really bring a bit more transparency around that angle of coffee. So we believe that kind of the freshness of the raw product is really important to quality. So, we try to tell that story in what we're doing.
So you have told me that your partner and you decided to create the company, and you have talked about your interest on portraying seasonal coffees and the seasonality of coffee. Why don't you tell us a little bit more of that, like project of building the company?
Yeah, so we, I guess it's worth saying, like Dan and I, we met working for Workshop Coffee in London. So we came into it with kind of a bit of knowledge about kind of roasting and that side of it. So that part wasn't so daunting, but the starting the company itself was a big undertaking, really. We left London in 2017 and we moved here. We pretty much sold everything we had to come and start the company, and just started. We rented a little unit here, and we did all the building work, all the renovations ourselves. So it was very much a DIY project.
Yeah.
We kind of scraped together our funding. We kind of struggled a bit with that, but we managed to in the end. So we opened in 2018. And then I hadn't really thought about the fact that we should look for customers. So we opened up and we were ready to go after a lot of hard work. And then, thankfully started from there. But yeah, funny, you don't think about that while you're setting up a company.
No, you certainly don't. But now thinking about the past and how you have got to the place where you are, what advice would you give to someone that's thinking about starting a new company?
Yeah, so I guess something that helped me, in the early days of starting or trying to set up was not to really, good advice that I got was not to wait for kind of everything, all your ducks to be in a row, and not to wait for the perfect moment, because there's not really a perfect moment to start something. You just have to kind of go into it wholeheartedly. We had a very clear vision. So we felt confident in our vision and in kind of what we were trying to achieve and our point of difference. So I would say, my advice would be to think that through really carefully, and that, you know, to be really sure about, you know, how you want to present it, or how your, you know, your belief behind it and your passion behind it, and that'll kind of take you quite far. But my advice would be just to kind of start the process, because, you know, if I'd known back then kind of how, you know, all the different obstacles that would be in my way, or the different things that might happen, you probably wouldn't do it. You know, you wouldn't. Yeah, in hindsight, you know a lot more now, so you wouldn't. But yeah, just to go for it and try and take the first step, and then that leads to the next step, and not to, don't wait for everything to be perfectly aligned to do it. You know.
You continue aligning things for yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, it's definitely a process, and I think it does. Yeah, it takes a bit of courage, and but I think believing in your idea and your product and what you can, you know, and obviously being passionate about it, because I think that'll take most of the way, you know. And a lot of the business side, you know, we just kind of learned as we went along. Like, neither of us have ever run a business, or, you know, we don't have families that run businesses, so it's all very new to us. Which is probably a good thing too, in that, like, you know, a lot of the decisions that we made, or how we approach things, may be a little bit different to how other companies would. I think our big focus was, you know, in the first year or two, if we can build a reputation for quality, that was our goal. So we kind of made illogical business decisions, you know, financially,
at the time,
that would enable that. Yeah. So, you know, that was the priority, and thankfully now it's paid off, because I think people kind of trust us and recognize that in our brand. But yeah, so not every business decision has to make, you know, financial sense initially, but
So if the focus of the business for you was the seasonality and being well known for the quality or the experience of coffee, how did you engage customers to convince them or make them loyal through time?
Yeah, so something we did actually from the beginning, that we were quite conscious of, was you know, starting the Instagram and telling our story, and being really kind of open and honest about our story and our journey. And we did that from kind of day one. So I think we kind of took people along with us along the way, and, you know, we shared a lot of the good days, the bad days, you know, the days where coffees didn't work out, or for whatever reason. You know, we were quite open and honest about what was going on behind the scenes, as well as kind of, you know, what we were doing the business side. But I think that helped kind of build trust, and I think people kind of see us now and they kind of know who's behind it. So I think that helps. I think people have a bit more trust if they can kind of see, you know, a face to the business, or there's somebody who will pick up the phone and is accountable for everything, and honest about everything. So that's how we try to approach it. And I think it's worked, I think. Yeah, we have a lot of lovely, loyal customers now, and which is great. So
do you think that the process itself of how transparent you were with customers and how engaged you were, like telling the story and the things that you were facing, was key to build the reputation that you have now as a company?
Yeah, I think so. I think we made a conscious decision to kind of, you know, to talk a lot as well about the process of setting up a business. You know, how that it's not all, you know, maybe it's easier for some people, how it's, you know, this is what we have to go through. And, you know, when we're buying coffees, when we're QCing, we kind of tried to take people on that journey with us about the decision making and how sometimes easy or difficult that is. And I think it kind of, maybe people are a bit more invested then in kind of what they're buying, where they know that a lot of thought's going behind it. So I think that that probably does help, you know, build a bit of brand loyalty, and yeah.
So when you were building this trust and telling people, what did you find was like missing information for the consumers?
Yeah, the thing we were really surprised at, and still kind of are, is that is the lack of kind of transparency around harvest information. Like there's a lot of specialty roasters out there, and everyone's doing a good job. But I think for the consumer, it's like I think it's useful information to know, when this coffee was harvested, because that will tell you a lot about what that coffee's going to taste like. This year's crop will be different to last year's crop and years before. And we know in specialty you might end up having all this range of years in an offering. So we wanted to focus on the harvest date and kind of tell the consumer that, we think you should be aware of this. Freshness is important, and that's why it's on the front of our packaging. And it should be traceable to that point. So, and it kind of helps and aligns with kind of our seasonal story that we're buying small amounts of coffee, and we're trying ideally to make that kind of coffee last about 3 or 4 months, and then we'll move on to a fresher harvest. So the range is continually evolving, and kind of the calendar element of that, the harvest information, it all kind of ties in. But we do think, I wish kind of more roasters would kind of display that information, because it would help me as well as a consumer.
It's very important, and it's part of how you created that loyal base. Because how do you balance bringing information to the end consumer, but not just like over sharing? Because I, for example, as a consumer, I value the information, but I don't like when I have too much information that I don't know where to focus. How did you end up finding a balance?
So we focus just on the harvest information and the seasonal element. So we kind of avoid using the term kind of specialty, and we talk about coffee as a fruit, as a seasonal fruit, and we kind of, that's our starting point. And most people, no matter whether you're into coffee or not, most people can identify with that and understand a seasonal product. So in food terms, it's used all the time, what's in season and eating seasonally, and so we were just trying to apply a little bit of that understanding to coffee, and most people kind of get it. And I think when you talk about it in those terms, it's a little bit easier then to open the door for people and explain it. They do understand when we talk about it like that. So it's kind of conscious language has helped.
So from your experience and what you have lived, which are the key elements or the key things to take into account that has helped you and your partner to get where you are right now?
So I'd say the most important thing and the biggest thing for us was to buy coffees that we really love to drink. So we're really passionate about what we're selling. So it's easy, kind of the sales side is kind of easy then, because we're not compromising on our values and kind of what we believe kind of tastes good and is representative of calendar. But we don't compromise on that. So we, our green coffee, luckily, from the start, we kind of haven't set a green coffee budget. Like if there's a coffee we want to showcase, we'll find a way to do it. That's kind of the special thing about calendar, is that we always want to be able to buy the coffees we love and share those.
Yeah.
And I think
knowing and choosing where to compromise. What can you compromise? What can you not?
So you can't compromise. Compromise. On where can you compromise? I would say, when you start, I would say if you can, not to compromise on anything really. If it feels wrong, if it feels like you're having to make a decision, then it probably isn't the best decision for the business.
Okay.
If something makes you feel a bit off, then there is a reason. And
nice. No.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is buying something for you as a even as a business, for buying coffee that you really believe in, then it's easy to sell, and it's there's no compromises. So that's the main thing. And then secondly, patience, because it takes time for a business to kind of get off its feet, and in that time you have to be patient and not to compromise your values, because it would be in the coffee industry it could be quite easy to kind of do a race to the bottom and buy cheaper coffee so you can, compete with other, other roasters and whatever. But you kind of have to believe in what you're doing and that will in time, it will kind of pay off, and that people will understand what you're doing, and why it's different. So patience is a big lesson. Yeah.
Well, that's very, very important. And lastly, would you share with us any moment where you say, aha, oh, I understood this from your coffee experience?
A moment where I understand the business side, or
it can be a revelation moment for you in coffee.
This is going to sound quite a boring answer, but back to that kind of patience kind of element, being patient, and there did become a moment where our business model made sense. That was the aha moment, and it was when we were roasting enough volume to kind of be in a place where we could be profitable, and it was always trying to get to that point of kind of breaking even and then being profitable, and obviously it's important for a company to get to that stage, because then it allows you to do other things, but that was the aha moment when finally we knew where we needed to get to, and it took 3 years, but we're kind of there now, and we're roasting the amount we need to, and which also means then we can buy more coffee, and which is great, and that was my moment where I was like, it does make sense. But it just takes time.
Everything we have done, yes.
Yeah, I was like, I knew it would, but it just took a few years longer.
Well, thank you for your time, and thank you for telling us and sharing your story and experiences with us.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for watching Caravela Coffee Talks.
And stay tuned for next episodes coming up in the next few weeks.
We will continue featuring incredible women leaders that play important roles in the industry, such as roasters, agronomists, and researchers, green coffee buyers, coffee producers, importers, and leaders of powerful organizations.
In future episodes, we will talk about setting up successful coffee businesses, growing in coffee, the evolution and development of different coffee scenes and geographies, science, copying, the force of good, coffee production, among other relevant topics that are changing the status quo to make coffee better. And if you have missed any of our previous episodes, we invite you to check them out. They are all available in all podcast platforms as well as our YouTube channel.
See you next week.